Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement.
We are going to discuss the importance of controlling your fees in retirement.
And on our Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss 4 different categories of fees that you need to be aware of.
And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to discuss some investments that can help you reduce cost and fees in retirement.
So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now.
I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and apply them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm Wendy Erickson, here with the coach, Chad Slagle. Today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss the importance of having clarity in retirement.
One of the most important things you need to have as you get closer to retirement, Wendy, is clarity. If you're not clear on exactly what you want in retirement, you could take a lot of detours. When you are working and building up for retirement, you really do not need a lot of guidance. You just need to make sure you're putting as much as you can away in your 401k or company plans. And if the market goes down, it's really not a big deal because you will have time for it to come back. If you're younger, it's pretty straightforward. However, when you get older and you get closer to retirement, 2 things need to happen. Number 1, you need to slow down. And number 2, there are going to be a lot of more twists and turns. And some of those twists and turns could be paying higher or necessary fees, could be taking too much risk, carrying too much debt, maybe not having a written retirement income plan, or maybe you have no long-term care protection. That's why it's so important as you get closer to retirement, you have to have that proper guidance. At our firm, our clients use our guided planning system, our GPS system for retirement. Just like your GPS system, when you get in your car, you put in where you are now and where you want to go, and it will tell you turn by turn exactly how to get there. Our GPS for retirement does exactly the same thing. You put in where you are now, where you want to go, or what you want to accomplish in retirement, and we build a plan for you that tells you turn by turn on exactly how to get there.
GPS is an amazing thing.
It is a very...
I try to tell my daughters about back in the day where we had to get out the paper map. And I moved to a lot of different cities in the broadcast journalism field, and I'd have to move to a new city and get a new map and stop and look at the map. So GPS, it's a wonderful thing to get us where we need to go, and I guess it's the same in retirement.
It is in retirement. 20, 30 years ago, you didn't need a map, you didn't need GPS, really. You had a pension, so your plan was all made up for you. But now, you need to have that GPS, you need to have that guidance system, especially in today's ever-changing economy. And a couple of twists and turns that we're going to talk about that you need to be aware of as you get closer to retirement are high or unnecessary fees that you're probably paying right now. And we're also going to talk about the effect of interest rates on your portfolio and what that means for you, especially as you get closer to retirement.
So you're going to help us navigate those twists and turns.
Absolutely right.
Sounds like a good plan. When we return on the Coach's Corner, we are going to discuss 4 different categories of fees that you need to be aware of. We'll be right back.
The number 1 concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are back with the coach, Chad Slagle, and his colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss 4 different categories of fees that you need to be aware of.
I'm sure almost everyone has heard the term every penny counts, right?
Yep.
Yet most people fail to think about this when it comes to their investments, probably your largest asset that you own. But when you are shopping around for deals, when buying goods and services, you are likely trying to buy the most cost-efficient item. Yet too often, we see people come into our office and they're paying retail price on all of their investments when they could be paying wholesale price or lower fees. And these fees can add up in a hurry, especially when it comes to your retirement savings. So you want to make sure you keep as much in your pocket as you can so you don't have to worry about running out of money in retirement.
Yeah, and I think, Chad, when we talk about your retirement, we're talking about your next 20, 30, maybe even 40 years of your life. And so reducing these fees and understanding these fees are very, very important.
All right, so let's jump in and discuss the first type of fee that we need to be aware of.
The first type of fee are what we call product level fees. These are the fees that the company offering the financial vehicle may attach to the product. For example, if you have an account with XYZ brokerage firm and they've taken some of your money and invested into certain mutual funds or bonds, these mutual funds or bonds may they charge you an annual expense when you invest in these, and it could be in the form of a commission that is paid to the salesperson that you need to understand. There's also other trading desk costs, and there's also what's called 12B1 fees that you need to understand as well.
Yeah, and a lot of times these are the fees that, are hidden and they're not shown on your statement, but maybe they're hidden in that prospectus that you may get every month or every quarter. So a lot of times these are the fees that people don't even see.
What is the second type of fee?
The second type of fee is a custodial fee. And a custodial fee, these are typically the smallest of fee categories, but still worth understanding. Some custodians have an annual maintenance fee. And we talk about custodians. You have to trade on a platform through a custodian. We talk about bonds, stocks, mutual funds. And the other fees that you have to understand, as I just talked about, are what we call trading desk costs. And a lot of times those trading desk costs are passed on to you, the investor.
Yeah, and I think, Chad, a lot of times we've asked people, do you know what you're paying in fees? And they'll say, oh yeah, I'm paying that $35 a year, because it's that custodial fee they see on their statement once a year, that annual maintenance fee. And I think this is something that, sometimes may be disclosed, but it's generally a lower fee, but you have to understand it.
All right, so after product level and custodial fees, what comes next?
The other fee that hopefully you're aware of is what's called an advisory fee. Advisory fees may or may not be part of your situation. You will only pay an advisory fee if you work with an advisor or a broker who is licensed to charge a fee for their advice and management of your account. And that fee could be anywhere from 1, 1.25%, 1.5%, 2%. It really depends on the advisor you're working with and how they position those assets.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you're in this kind of engagement with your firm and that advisor, a lot of people believe this is maybe the only fee that they're paying. So, sometimes there could be some of those other hidden fees that they don't see other than this advisory fee.
I can only imagine people at home are thinking, I wonder, I'm going to check on that fee.
I'm wondering
right
what
there.
I'm paying.
Yeah.
Right,
We've got
exactly.
another one, the last fee that we're going to talk about, commissions and loads.
The last one is the commissions or loads. And lastly, depending on the type of advisor you have, they may also be licensed to make commissions or collect loads right up front from the investments they recommend and put into you. And really, I think the easiest way to understand this, Wendy, if you go out today and you want to buy a new car, you're going to pull on the lot. There's going to be 300, 400, 500 different cars that you could buy. Mm-hmm. So let's say you walk around for 30 minutes and all of a sudden you stop in front of one car. What happens? That salesman that's been watching you walk all over the lot, all of a sudden when you stop, he's coming up, he's telling you how great you are, how good you look, and when he's telling you all this, what is in the window of that car?
The price.
The sticker price, right?
Right.
So if you think about that sticker price, you could pay sticker price for that car, or you could go inside, and sticker price is what we call retail, or you could go inside and you and that salesman are going to go back and forth for about 10 to 15 minutes. He's going to get up 3 to 4 times and go talk to his manager, and the whole time you're trying to do what? You're trying to get him as close to the invoice price as you can, and that's what we call wholesale. Now, it doesn't matter whether you pay retail or wholesale, sticker price or invoice price for that car, you're going to drive that exact same car off the lot. The same thing, folks, when it comes to investing your hard-earned dollars. You can pay all these loads and fees for these investments in mutual funds you're in, or you can get these exact same mutual funds and fees at wholesale, or what we call invoice cost.
Yeah, and I think that's a great story to kind of give an example. And a lot of these same loaded type mutual funds, investors can get in a no load form or a load waive form. And it's just important to understand you have those options available to you.
So the thing is, when you're looking at your mutual funds, most of you are going to have an A, B, or a C behind your mutual fund. A loads are up front. Load, and on average, Chad, that could be anywhere from 3, 5, 6%. Usually on average around 5.75% is what you're charged. If you have a B or a C share, B or a C behind your mutual fund, what that means is you're not charged that load up front, but if you take that money out in the first 6 to 8 years, you could be charged that load on the backside.
All right, that's some great information. Know what you're paying. Well, to download our free white paper today about how interest rates play a role in your retirement, visit slagelfinancial.com. Empower you. Coming up on Chalk Talk, we're going to discuss some investments that can help you reduce costs and fees in retirement.
Okay, let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this or I didn't make this team.
Everybody in here.
That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just discussed the 4 different categories of fees that you need to be aware of. Now we want to discuss some investments that can help you reduce costs and fees in retirement. That'd be good.
As we talked about, Wendy, and as you can see, there are many types of fees out there today, and most people do not know about them. So it is important to educate and empower yourself in retirement so you are better off. And when we talk about in retirement, or really it's better off even while you're working, you want to make sure you reduce those costs and fees as much as you can. So now we're going to discuss some investments that can help you reduce those costs and fees and make you more successful, especially as you get closer to retirement.
Well, and I think we talk about the 8th wonder of the world as the miracle of compounding interest. We also look at fees over 20, 30 years. Compounding on these fees can really, if you're able to reduce or eliminate some of these fees, can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket as opposed to leaving your accounts and going out in fees.
So what are some of those investments that can help lower your costs in retirement?
So some of the fees that you want to take a look at, we talk about the old open-end mutual funds, as we just talked about, the A, B, C shares. Now really what you want to look at, and a lot of these you'll find in your 401k or company plans today that you have access to, are what we call ETFs, exchange-traded funds, or index funds. And they are similar in some ways, as I mentioned, to mutual funds because they're diversified. They're a basket of stocks. So you could have 200, 500 different companies that make up one fund. However, they cost way less on average than the active mutual fund for one simple reason. They are not being actively managed. They simply just track an index. Like, Chad, the S&P 500 index. And you can look in any given year. We pay these money managers 1% to 2% a year in fees to try to beat these indexes. But in any given year, they could be 70, 80% of these money managers, even though we pay them the fees, Wendy, they cannot even outperform these indexes.
Yeah, and I think, we call them the 21st century, the mutual fund of the 21st century when we're talking about index funds. And everybody's pretty much heard of Vanguard by now, and Vanguard became one of the top mutual fund companies in the world by actually offering index funds and not that retail mutual fund. So it's so important to understand, an alternative to that mutual fund tool is that index fund or exchange traded fund.
All right, what about another investment that might have a lower fee?
Another investment as you get closer to retirement that you really need to take it to consider and look at. And again, it depends on what you want to accomplish, but if you need income, wealth transfer, you just want to make sure that you hold on to your money and don't lose it, are fixed annuities. Now, it's different than a variable annuity in that when we look at a variable annuities, they carry very high fees, and of course, there's risk involved. They're called variable annuities because they vary. However, a fixed annuity doesn't put your money into sub-accounts in the stock market. Rather, they help protect your money from all the downside. And as I mentioned earlier, they can also be set up as your own private pension plan. In other words, Chad, they can give you an income stream that you know is going to come in each and every month, each and every year for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live and no matter how long your spouse lives.
Yeah, and I think, when you compare them to what a lot of the Wall Street and people have coming out of the Wall Street world, if they are in annuities with these variable annuities, the income riders, the sub-account or mutual fund fees, the mortality expense and the life insurance fees that are inside the variable annuities, some of these fixed annuities, as Chad just mentioned, some of the benefits there, you could still pay a fee, a lesser fee, to have that income that's going to generate and be paying you for the rest of your life. So it's important to understand you could still have a fee in a fixed annuity, but it's going to be a lot lower
And
fees.
I think another thing important is when we talk about annuities, there's good and bad to annuities. So you really need to educate yourself and know the ins and the outs, how they work, as Chad mentioned, some of the fees they're charging as well. But they can be a good alternative to those open-end mutual funds and just throwing all of your money in the market.
Well, and you have even another alternative. What's our
When
final?
we talk about an alternative, if you do want to be in the market, and some of your money should be in the market, you want to look at individual stocks. The most cost-effective way to invest is buying those individual stocks and equities directly. You have no annual cost or fees. A lot of times, depending on the custodian you're working with, you're maybe talking $5, $10 a share, not very much at all. But the thing that you want to make sure on is, in my opinion, if we're going to take our clients' money, we're going to put it in the market today, we want to be in good, solid U.S. companies that if the market goes down, they may go down a little bit. But we know they're companies that are going to come back. But also, Wendy, these are companies that are paying that 4 to 6% dividend. So even if the market's down, it isn't like, you're going to, in a mutual fund, you're going to ride the market up and you're going to ride it back down, because most growth mutual funds pay very little dividends. However, if you have a good dividend-paying stock, paying 5 or 6%, even if the market's down, you're still making 5 to 6% on your money in the form of dividends. If you don't need that money, you're just taking those dividends now. Even though the market's down, you're going in and buying more shares, so your money's constantly compounding and growing.
Yeah, and I think, understanding the dividend stocks, and a lot of our clients really like to understand the individual companies they're invested in. And as you mentioned, Chad, there's going to be good times with the market, there's going to be bad times with the market. And so allowing these dividends to kind of buy and reinvest on their own throughout the years is really a very good strategy. But you have to understand these companies, the consistency and how long they've paid consistent dividends is also important.
And one thing we always talk about with our clients, think about if the market has another downturn like it did the past year, 15% there at the last quarter, you're still going to do the same things that you did today. You're still going to drive your car. You're still going to talk on your phone. We're still going to eat and drink. So these are the companies that we want to be invested in. Good, solid U.S. companies like AT&T, like Procter & Gamble, General Mills, companies that we're going to consistently use. And if the market's down and you need that money, you don't have to go in and lock any losses. All you have to do is say, hey, instead of reinvesting those dividends, I'm now going to take those dividends and put those in my pocket.
Some good alternatives to consider. We mentioned it before, but we're going to mention it again. To download our free white paper today about how interest rates play a role in your retirement, visit schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. When we come back on our strategy play, the Chads are going to show you why it's so important to understand the fees you are paying on your investments. More on that. Stay with us.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money than it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our Financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to show you why it is so important to understand the fees you are paying on your investments. And a common theme that we find often in our office is when somebody comes in, Chad, they'll tell us two things. Number one, we're not sure what we're paying in fees, and we think we have a pretty diversified portfolio. However, when we sit down with them and we stress test their portfolio, a couple things we find out. Number one, they're probably taking way too much risk at this stage of the game, and also they're probably paying way too much in fees. And again, that's what we call stress testing your portfolio, and that's why it's so important to educate yourself and know those numbers. So if we take a look at this here, knowing your fees and knowing your numbers is, let's say we have a client here that has a $1 million portfolio, Chad, and of course we have the fees and the cost. A lot of times they have no idea what they're paying.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I mean, once you know your fees and we put a dollar sign to that, it really hits home to clients and people to understand, okay, how much is leaving in my accounts for the fees that I'm paying? And I think when you look at, and you mentioned clients feel like they're diversified. You have $1 million portfolio and you've got 40% in using annuities. The kind of annuities we often see are variable annuities. They have 30% in some mutual funds, could be loaded, could be funds that they're paying advisory fees. You have 20% in bond funds for quote unquote some of that safety in the market, and then maybe about 10% in the banks. And so this is a well-diversified portfolio, right?
They think it's a well-diversified portfolio, Chad, but if we take a look at this, 90% of their money is at risk in the market, that they could lose it depending on what interest rates are doing and also depending on what the market is doing. So we have the variable annuities, as we mentioned, Chad. They vary, they go up and down with the market. Also, with inside the variable annuities, though, you're invested in different sub-accounts, which are basically mutual funds. So on average, what we find is people are usually paying anywhere from 3 to 4% a year in fees just for those variable annuities, which if we look here, Chad, 40%, 3%, that's over $12,000 a year you're paying in fees that a lot of times people have no idea. And of course, we have mutual funds here. A lot of times we talk about mutual funds that are inside of your portfolio. What you need to understand is you need to understand one fee, which is your advisor fee. That's the one that most people know. But the other fee you need to understand is the fee that of the other investments that are inside that portfolio are usually mutual fund fees, which could be another 1%. So we look, there's two. And of course, Chad, we have the bond funds as well.
Yeah, and I think the understanding, we talked about how interest rates can affect your retirement income throughout the show today. You know, understanding as these interest rates are going up, what we're seeing now is these bonds and bond funds are actually losing value in the market. But as far as fees, you know, we still have that advisory fee or maybe some of these inside fund expenses in these bond funds. So there's another 2% or $4,000 a year in fees.
So long story short, folks, we have somebody here on average, they thought they were paying maybe a 1% advisory fee. Come to find out on $1 million portfolio, they're paying over $22,000 a year. Are you unaware of the fees that you may be paying on your investments? Do you need help uncovering those fees and seeing if you can reduce or eliminate some of those unnecessary costs? If so, we encourage you to give us a call today, and that's this week's Strategy Play.
If you have any questions about today's show, or if you'd like for us to discuss a new topic, email us at askchad@slaglefinancial.com to have your questions answered on the show. We'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today.
Coach Chad Slagle and join.
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars, of course you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
Such short notice, appreciate it.
Thanks. It's time to get your financial house in order.
This is the new age of retirement planning. In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have equity.
Back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are Slagle Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We have covered a lot of information today. What would you say are some of the key takeaways, Chad?
Number one, Wendy, take control of your retirement. As we often talk about on the show, do not depend on somebody else to take care of you as you get closer to retirement. Be proactive and build your own plan. And of course, that starts by, number one, reducing your fees or eliminating the bad or, in a lot of times, unnecessary fees that you're paying in your portfolios. Number two, understand the 4 categories of fees that you may or may not be paying. And number 3, know the alternative investments or what other options you have that cost less for your retirement. Because a lot of times, Wendy, these vehicles that you put into your 401k and your company plans and that got you to retirement, if you continue to invest in the same vehicles that got you to retirement, once you retire, those could be the same vehicles that blow you up in retirement. So educate yourself, know what the alternatives are out there. And again, as I mentioned, take control of your retirement. Don't depend on somebody else to take care of you.
And to download our free white paper today about how interest rates play a role in your retirement, visit slaglefinancial.com/empoweryou. We also want to let you know about Slagle Financial and their team of advisors having educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. For more information and to sign up for one of these events, call 888-294-9248 or visit chadslagleshow.com.
Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Slagle Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague Chad Tobin, my co-host Wendy Erickson, this is the coach, Chad Slagle. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.
Clothing for the Chad Slagle Show is provided by A.L. Custom Clothiers, a custom men's clothier that understands the value of offering our customers the best for less. ALCustomClothiers.com or 314-570-6000.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your monies that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our Financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.